Okay. Okay, so welcome to day 3 of Mindful Moments. So I'm doing this over a series of 5 days. So welcome if you've just joined on day 3, and welcome if you've joined on previous classes. So we're just having around 10 minutes of practice. So most of you are probably very familiar with a mindfulness practice. So all mindfulness is bringing ourselves to the present moment, trying to disentangle ourselves, even for a short second or two, away from kind of our chattering minds. So today, our focus is on overcoming negativity bias. So some of you have heard of this. So the brain is naturally wired for negativity. It's looking out for threats. It's designing to keep us alive. It's a kind of really useful thing when you've got bears and really dangerous creatures outside. But I don't believe around Marple we're too worried about those these days. But we do tend to get concerned about other things in our modern life. So we're looking out for dangers. And what that can do is it can make life quite difficult and quite a challenge for us. So what the antidote for that is to grow the positive, and it needs to be a really real experience. So that's what we're going to go into in this practice. So finding a happy seat, and what I mean by that is enough sense of the spine to feel like you're alive to that sitting position, but you're also able to not be rigid or stuck in place, and you can actually relax the body. Hands somewhere that can rest. So often a lap is a good place to find a comfort for the hands and the arms to be free. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, you don't have to, but if you're comfortable closing your eyes, that's quite good, because this just takes it into more of a kind of internal sense rather than an external sense. If you don't want to close your eyes, then just kind of look down slightly, just to limit the stimulus that you might have in your own environment. And recognizing if you're living in a house with other people, there might be noises and things going on around you. So just giving yourself a little bit of time and space to just arrive for a moment. So that's being kind of conscious now, not just of the mind, but of the body. So where's the body? How's it feel? It might feel still a little bit sticky if you haven't been up too long. So it might feel a little bit tense or tight. So feeling the contact points with the chair, contact points with the floor, and really feeling that sense of body alive, yes. And that can also come with a sense of feeling the breath in the body. So we concentrated on the breath last night, the power of the breath, and the breath to give a sense of flow, a sense of space. And also that sense of the breath is never quite the same. If we breathe in, we breathe out. We breathe in, we breathe out. So enjoying that sense of ourselves, that sense of just being awake in the day, fairly early on in the day, and just being alive to that sense, present to that sense of now, sitting, body, and breath. Okay, so being aware that the mind will keep asking questions, it will keep thinking, it will keep reminding you of the past, something you need to think about later on in the day. But each time that kind of crops up, we come back to a focus. So it could be the body, it could be the breath. But I'm going today to suggest something more particular. And this is a way of growing the good. Yeah. So we, in our minds, not everybody's good at visualization, but see how this goes. So in our minds, we create a landscape, which is real or imagined, somewhere we feel really comfortable and really alive to. So it's a space, it's an outdoor space. It's a space we feel safe. It might be somewhere that we sit, it might be somewhere that we walk, it might be somewhere that we run, it might be somewhere that we cycle through. But it's pleasurable and it's really alive. So one way of making that image, that experience very real, almost like a movie running through our head or through our body, is to initially to see that, see that landscape. Maybe see it's in its bigger sense, and then maybe to see some of the detail, some of the colors, some of the changing light, some of the specific things that you're really drawn to. And that simplicity of being kind of really joyful about a landscape, about a small thing, about the outdoors. Colors and the changes in colors. The movement, landscapes move usually. They're not still, they're not static. There's always some flow of life, some energy. And within that landscape, there'll be sounds. There'll be sounds, even if it's the sound of the wind or the sound of the sea, the sounds of the birds, the sound of whatever animal life. If you're walking, the sounds of your foot on the floor. If you're cycling, the sound of the wheels going round. So it's not just what we see, it's what we hear. It adds to the experience. It adds to our sense of being alive and connected. It's pleasant, it's joyful. It's us in the place we want to be. So it's not just what we see and what we hear. It's also what we smell. Really strong senses, our sense of smell. So again, that might be the sea, it might be the sand, it might be the grass, it might be the pine tree, it might be the wild garlic, it might be any kind of trigger that just is pleasant and alive to you. The smells of the environment, the landscape, the earth. And we can get really close and personal to our environment. We can touch it. We can touch it with our feet if we're walking. We can do cartwheels across the grass if we like. We can touch the flower. We can get closer to the water. We could be in the water. So that sense of touch, again, a really strong sensation for us. Could we feel that sense of contact, that touching the textures, various textures of the earth, of our landscape? Bringing that sensation more alive, more into the moment, be more present to that. That pleasurable quality, that healing quality. We are beings that want to be out in the world. And the last sense, the sense of taste, that might be a little trickier. But you might, in your environment, whatever season it might be, have access to a fruit or something to eat from the earth. Or even just imagining a taste in the mouth from a smell in the environment, that garlicky smell or whatever it might be. So even that sense, just for a moment, of the taste of the outdoors. You might taste the smell of the sea, that saltiness. So just getting that full sense now, the taste, the touch, the sound, the smell, the vision of the landscape, and how it makes you feel inside. Space, your environment. You're safe, but you're more than safe. You're connected. You're calm. You're peaceful. You're alive. You're awake. So as we take that experience, we hold that experience with the intensity that we choose to hold that with. We kind of know it's available to us as a moment to step aside and delve into, to chase away for a moment anything that might be getting in the way, and to build our sense of connection. So we go out into the world joyfully and find this environment, but we can also be with it, closing our eyes, sitting and journeying in. So for now, coming back to ourselves sitting in the room we're in, coming back to the breath, maybe taking a slightly deeper breath, maybe moving the toes, maybe moving the fingers, and then opening the eyes at some point, and maybe just having a little bit of a yawn, a little bit of a stretch, to waken into the real day with a little bit of rain in the sky and green outside. So thank you, everyone. Yeah, hopefully you've been able to use that sense of being alive to the outdoors, even in your imagination, and just kind of this thing about just coming each day to really sensing things strongly. So if you want to call it homework, the thing to do potentially today is to just have something really intense experiences of looking genuinely outside, hearing, smelling, tasting, just for a little bit longer than you normally would. And growing those skills is kind of really bringing that sense of being present in a really real, different way than sometimes we just get around the world, don't we? Enjoy your day, and thank you for coming. I'm here tomorrow at 7:15.